everyone. It's Friday, and you know what that means. Friday fun with Sarah. That's me. Well, let me put my coffee down and tell you what we're going to make today. Today we're going to make these cute and adorable flip-flop keychains. And the reason I decided to go ahead and do this is, well, a couple of people have been asking for them through the summer, and they're super fun to hook on your kids' backpacks. And it's kind of fun to put something different that other kids don't have on their backpacks, because a lot of them have similar backpacks. And you can take this and add a little, say if your kid's name is Fred, you can put an F for Fred. Or Sarah, you could put in a little S for Sarah. Or you could just leave it as is, hook it on their backpack, and when their kids see all the backpacks all piled up there together, getting on the bus or coming home or whatever, they'll know that's their backpack, and it's super cute. Now, in the past on Friday Fun Day, I haven't put the pattern out there, and I've had requests for the written patterns for some of these even smaller, easy patterns. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the written pattern in the notes underneath this video. There won't be a blog for it. You won't have to click for it. You just have to hit that thing that says see more, or the little arrow pointing down. You click that depending on what device you're on, and underneath that is always the description of what the video is, and there'll be the written pattern under there for you as well. And of course there won't be any pictures, but you won't need that because you'll have the video. All right, let's talk about what you're going to need. So you just need a few things to make these, and you probably already have a lot of this on hand. We're going to be using a medium weight number 4 yarn. I'm going to be using this yellow. These are both Red Heart Super Saver, medium weight number 4. I'm going to use the yellow for the main portion of my flip-flop, and this bright green for the trim and the straps. It doesn't take hardly any. You can get in your yarn stash. You can use any fiber you have on hand. Cotton works, and any of the blended cotton polyester, anything you've got on hand that's a medium weight number 4 and whatever colors that you want will work. The other thing you're going to need is a key ring, and I really like this style. It's a smaller ring with a hook on it. And what I did is I found this bag. I think I got it a couple of years ago actually, from my local Walmart over in their craft department, and they have a section by their beads. I think it's like one aisle over from all their beading items, and it's just called Assorted Colorful Findings. You can also find them in just silver and just gold, and I like these because they're different colors and I can match them up with what I'm doing. I believe they were less than $4, maybe $3, but it's been a few years since I purchased this one. But you can find these key rings in any of your stores that carry craft supplies, and they're usually over by either the buttons or the beads. Okay? Now, you don't have to go out and buy one of these. You can always get a hold of some of your old key rings that you aren't using those keys for anymore, and reuse those, and that will work just fine as well. You don't have to have this extra hook. You can just use the key ring and then use that key ring to hook it on a backpack or bag. All right, so we're going to be stitching with our H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You're going to need a needle to attach your ring and weave in your ends, and then of course you're going to need your scissors. So I'm going to start with my main color. I'll make my slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 8 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I have 8 chains. Now don't chain this initial chains of 8 too tightly, because we're going to be stitching on both sides of our chain. Alright, so now I'm going to place 2 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. 1, 2. We'll go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through both loops, and then we'll place a second single crochet in that same chain. Now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That leaves 1 chain, and in this last chain we're going to stitch 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. So you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 single crochets on that first row. Now we're going to turn our work and we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in this first single crochet. 1 and 2. That string out of the way there. Now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we'll stitch 2 single crochets in this last stitch. 1 and 2, and then we'll join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch and go ahead and chain 1. So we have 9 stitches on one side, 9 stitches on the other, so we have a total all the way around of 18 single crochets. And that's row 1. All right, let's do round 2. And on round 2, we're going to be stitching all the way around our row. So we'll go in the first single crochet and stitch 2 single crochets. 1, 2. Now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to stitch 2 half double crochets in the next 2 stitches. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 of those loops. And then we'll do that again. So we have 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. And now we'll do that in the next stitch. 1 and 2. And that forms the top part, or the toe, of our flip-flop. Now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now we'll stitch 2 single crochets in this last stitch. 1 and 2. We're going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch. All right, we're going to go ahead and cut our yarn because we're going to be bringing in our next color. And so up here where we stitched those 4 half double crochets, that's the toe of our flip-flop. And then down here is the bottom. All right, and so that's the way that row 2 should look for your flip-flop. So we've cut off our color 1. We're going to bring in our color 2. And again, your yarn choices are up to you. All righty, we'll just put those to the back. We're going to go right in this first single crochet and stitch a single crochet. And then we're going to stitch 8 more. All right, so we stitched 9 single crochets because we stitched 1 in the first and then 8 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that brings us to those 4 half double crochets. And we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in each of those 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, that's the toe of our flip-flop. We have those 4 half double crochets from the previous row. We stitched 2 single crochets in each of those 4. And now we're just going to single crochet back down the side of our flip-flop. All right, that was my 9th stitch, and I'm going to join to my first single crochet, and we're going to tie off. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next stitch underneath and pull that loop, almost slipped out of there, there we go, to the back of my flip-flop and tie off to the back. Okay, and now we have a few ends we need to weave in. And we're going to do that with our needle, and then I'll show you how to add the strap onto our flip-flop. So I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to make sure I don't have a hole in the top there, because we don't like that if it has a little hole. It's just not pretty. So we're going to go around that as we're weaving in and make sure that's closed up. And then just weave that in through some stitches so it stays put. The key to getting your weave-ins to stay is to go through stitches and the fibers of the yarn and not holes. All right, I want to do this yellow one at the bottom next because I want to show you how to close up that other hole at this other end. When we stitch like this, sometimes you get a hole at both ends. And so then we'll take this end and we'll weave up to that. And we'll just tidy that up. Again, we want that to look nice and neat, so we'll go around it. Make sure the hole is closed up, and then just finish weaving that in through some fibers and some stitches. All right, and then now I'll go ahead and tidy up these green ones, and then I'll show you how to add that strap to our flip-flop. I have tidied up my flip-flop. This is the heel portion. Up here where we have those 4 half double crochets is the toe. We're going to take our yarn, and we're going to go down to right here, join our trim yarn back in, and chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to join up here where we have those 4 sets of 2 single crochets. We're going to go right in between those 2 sets and stitch a single crochet and then chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, get back in there. There we go. Now we want to line up across here and join. And before I cut my yarn, I always give it a look at just to make sure everything's lined up nice and that it looks pretty. And then I'll go ahead and cut my yarn. All right, we want to pull this to the back. There we go. And now we'll just take a second and tidy up these 2 ends. I probably left more yarn on there than I need, but I'm the kind of person I'd rather have too much than not enough. All right, so I'm just going to weave this in, and I sort of go up and back, going again through fibers and stitches just a couple of times because I want that strap to stay put. I mean, a foot's not going to be going through it, so it's not going to get any wear and tear, but I want it to stay put and look pretty on my keychain. I'm really liking this yellow and lime green too. I think it's pretty together. Alrighty, so we'll just go back and forth, making sure that's going to stay put. Alright, so now we have a cute little flip-flop, and I'm going to show you how to make it into a keychain. So this is the keychain that I'm going to use. It's just a small circle keychain that you can slide keys and other things on, and I have a clip on it. I want the clip because I think that'll make it easier to get it on and off a bag or a backpack or knapsack. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the center of where I attach that strap, and I'm going to make a loop first. All right, and now I'm just going to take my key ring and set it up there. I want to put it this way. There we go. And put my needle through the ring. And then I'm going to make a couple of loop stitches. Now, if you prefer, you can go ahead and weave that ring in through the top of the flip-flop, but I think this way holds the best, and it's just my preference. You can attach it however you like. And now I'm going to make some knots. Yes, some knots. And I like to do 3 knots. All right, and then I'm going to cut this side. And then I'm just going to use my needle and weave that in even more, because this is going to get a little bit of wear and tear coming on and off a backpack, and I've made that string too small. So I'm going to put the end of my needle back through, and I can pull that back through. All right, and I'll do that to the other side as well. Like I said, this ring is going to get some work out because it's going to be going on and off our backpack or whatever we're putting it on, and we don't want it to come off. Now, if you are a little concerned about that knot not holding, you can grab some fabric glue and put a little dab of glue on that. I don't recommend using a hot glue just because hot glue gets sticky when it's hot and it gets hard and cracky when it gets cold. Okay, I think hot glue works best in a controlled environment. But, you know, if your kid's waiting out at the bus stop and it's really cold, it might crack up. If it's really hot, it might get melty. So I really prefer this fabric glue. It's Aleene's No Sew fabric glue. It's my favorite. And I bought these bottles, I bought 2 of them about 5 years ago, and I still have a ton of glue in there because you just use a tiny dot if you're going to use it. So here are our fun flip-flop keychains. And again, you don't have to go out and buy some keychains. If you've got some old sets of keys that you've got some keychains left over from, you can also, if you want to, just make a chain and hook that on. It's just, the chain will look cute, but it's just not as sturdy as a nice keychain. Wasn't that a lot of fun? And they're super cute. A great way to use up some yarn in your stash. You could even make these in school colors. Wouldn't that be fun? Well, anyway, get in your yarn stash and see what colors of flip-flops you can make. It's fun and useful. And that's my favorite kind of crochet project. Now, next week, we're going to make dryer balls. You didn't even know your dryer had those. Just kidding. A dryer ball is a great alternative to using a dryer sheet to getting the static out of your clothes. We're going to talk about the different yarns, acrylic, wool, and cotton, which works best for dryer balls. And then I'm going to show you how to make one really quick and simply. Okay, so thank you for being with me today on Friday Fun with Sarah, and join me next week for dryer balls. Bye-bye, everybody.